into was called fulminant hepatitis, which is like a lightning attack. It attacks your liver, kills it. There's nothing that can be done.
You had an organ transplant.
I had an organ transplant by some absolutely phenomenal people at the Starzl Center in Pittsburgh.
And all from going out for a quick bite at the restaurant.
Quick bite.
Well, you look really great.
Thank
Linda,
you.
you do too. I'm happy to report. We contacted Chi-Chi's for comment, did not hear back. But in the past, they have publicly stated that their employees were not the source of the outbreak. Nothing could have been done to prevent the outbreak, and that it was an isolated incident. How clean is your favorite fast food restaurant? Lee Thompson decided to check them out, too. Next. This stuff's important to know. Shannon and Jeff had a frightening encounter with food poisoning when their son, Trace, contracted salmonella after eating chicken at a local restaurant. And that trauma was compounded when you went to the hospital with your son. And what happened there?
Trace got sick on a Saturday. He started having, just normal diarrhea. Wasn't feeling very good, a little bit of cramping. By Saturday night, it was getting a little bit worse, but we still at the time thought it was the flu. Kids get this, it's no big deal. About 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Jeff and I were taking shifts, taking him in and out of the bathroom. Jeff had called me to the bathroom, Trace had passed bloody stool. So we rushed him up to the hospital. I made an unusually fast trip. I was basically told I was overreacting, and this was normal.
He actually had 2 of the stool episodes while in the hospital at that first visit.
Caroline Vanderwall, sitting next to you, were those pretty much classic symptoms of salmonella? Should a doctor have recognized that?
If you have cases of bloody diarrhea, you should get your child or the other ill person in your family to the hospital right away. They did exactly the right thing, and the doctor should not have turned them away.
When you went back to the hospital, and of course by that time Trace was even sicker, he ended up having surgery. Why?
Yes, evidently because of the salmonella had caused the infection so bad, his intestines were actually contracting so intensely that they telescoped themselves, or actually inside out, and his body was actually starting to digest his own intestines.
Is Trace okay today?
He's
just really sleepy.
It's been a long day.
Shannon and Jeff have filed a lawsuit against the restaurant that they believe is responsible for Trace's salmonella. Meanwhile, Lee Thompson has been looking into salmonella as well. One of the things she found when she looked behind the counter at some fast food restaurants. There are, I'm looking at my notes because I couldn't believe, 75,000 fast food restaurants. You didn't look them all, did you?
No, couldn't look at them all. But what we did is what we think was a large and pretty fair sample. We looked at 1,000 different fast food restaurants, 100 from each of the top 10 fast food chains.
All right, let's take a look.
And once again,
burgers and fries, tacos, fried chicken. It's hot, tasty, and easy. And with millions and millions of meals sold every day, most of us just assume it's all clean and safe. But when it's not, it can be devastating. After eating at this McDonald's in Irwin, Tennessee, 100 people became violently ill.
Just the stomach cramps alone would curl you in two.
I was just laying in the bathroom floor screaming. It almost killed us.
Meanwhile, after eating at this KFC in Colorado, Gianni Villata was infected with a dangerous salmonella bacteria. His mother says he almost died. In Chicago, in a Wendy's, inspectors found a dead rodent decomposing on a rat trap.
I can help you.
At a California Taco Bell, a woman bit into her taco only to find chewing gum.
I can help you.
At a Hardee's in Florida, a customer was handed a cup of soda with blood dripping from it. There was blood on her change as well.
Oh, my, what did the restaurant say about all of that?
You know, it was interesting. I thought the restaurants would fight back on these surveys, and actually most of them have told us that they really care about food safety. They're serious about it. They don't want any critical violations, and this was a wake-up call for them. In the case of, we actually did a follow. In our vernacular, that means we went back and looked at some of these restaurants again to find out if they had cleaned up some months later. Some of them had. Some of them were worse than they had been. As far as the worst ones, one of them told us that that it really was going to change the way it did business. So that was gratifying. They're going to bring in inspectors of their own.
Third time charm, maybe.
Third time charm, maybe. But we're still out there. We'll let you know.
Okay, well, be staying out there, too.
Yeah.
Ever wonder what a health inspector does behind closed doors? An inside look with the woman known as the food sheriff. Next. Just like police officers patrol the streets, it's the job of health inspectors to keep a close eye on restaurants. But what exactly does the job entail? We tagged along with Becky Calderon, otherwise known as the food sheriff.
Hi, I need to see your manager, please. I can close a restaurant if there is an imminent health hazard right on the spot. I'm going to get between you guys.
Calderon weaves through the lunch hour rush.
How does the cooking order go on these?
Her thermometer poised for action.
Will you do me a favor? Would you put one of your patties on your spatula for me?
She wants to know if the burgers are thoroughly cooked.
Thank you.
She's all business. And she's all over the restaurant.
Excuse me?
She spots some unrefrigerated food that she worries has been sitting out too long.
You've got 2 hours to get it down from 130 to 70 degrees.
And she swoops down on a problem at the French fry bin.
When you guys scoop your fries, be careful that you're not touching the fries, okay, that they're not falling on your hands.
Most important, the inspector wants to know if the employees are washing their hands.
Can I see your hands? Yeah. Flip them over for me? Thank you.
When this whirlwind inspection is done, Calderon taps her findings into her laptop and prints her report for the restaurant manager.
How many restaurants are in your jurisdiction?
I have about 340 restaurants that I inspect, and that's going to range from just your regular fast food restaurants, full-service family dining. I have stores that are open 24 hours, but basically we're looking for the same type of violations. We focus in on risk factors for foodborne illnesses. So when I go in and I do an inspection, I'm paying close attention to temperatures, cooking temperatures, holding temperatures. Hand washing and food handling is very important.
How did you know about, you asked one guy to show you, how did you know whether a hand was washed or not?
Well, in that part of the show, I was looking at their hands to make sure they weren't handling the food with any cuts, any bandages that were exposed,
I'd never thought about those things.
Yeah, because we will allow employees to handle raw food with their bare hands, just not ready to eat foods. But I'll watch employees and make sure they're washing with soap, with hot water. I'll walk over and fill the water, make sure it's warm. They have to wash for at least 20 seconds. They've got to use a paper towel. It sounds very simple, and yet,
what do you think compliance is? How much of what needs to be done gets done? Because you don't go back for another few months, 4 months.
It depends. If they're a restaurant that's really struggling and they're having a lot of violations and things that they can't get fixed at the time of inspection, I'm going to set them up for a follow-up visit, no longer than 10 days out, depending on the violation. There's times I've gone back to a restaurant at the end of the day to make sure that things were fixed. So it really depends on what I'm seeing there.
You like your work?
I love my work.
I think you can see that.
I do. I've always loved food safety. It's been a passion of mine. I like the thought that maybe I'm going to protect somebody from getting sick. So it's.
I'm sure you have. Lee Thompson likes her work too.
She does.
Yeah. There is not any kind of a national standard for food safety or restaurant cleanliness, is there?
One of the things that really amazed us when we did this story is that we found there are over 3,000 jurisdictions with different rules and regulations about what's safe and what's not safe. Although most of the time a critical violation, those things that make you sick, critical violation is a critical violation. But even the National Restaurant Association and most of the big chains are calling for a policy where we would have one code in this country, so people like Becky would go into a restaurant and they would find the same things wrong in Arizona that you would find wrong in Georgia or Wisconsin or anywhere else in the country.
In the meantime, I guess the point of the show today has been to open eyes to problems. But in the meantime, maybe the best advice is to keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes open, and if the restaurant is dirty, leave. Because you know what? If you leave and enough people leave, that restaurant's going to either go out of business or it's going to clean up its act.
All right. Thank you, Lee. Well, thanks to all of my terrific guests today for sharing their important stories. And for more information on food safety and food safety precautions, would you please visit our website, thejanepauley.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.